is like, you just have to love pork roll. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. And there are many ways to eat pork roll. I think growing up in Philadelphia, we would just kind of have it as a side. Everybody here makes a sandwich out of it. So, my computer just made some kind of funky noise. I don't know what it was, but thanks for interrupting me. But here in Jersey is known for what they call their hard roll, which is basically a Kaiser roll, which is really not even a hard roll, in my opinion. When I first moved to New Jersey, and I don't think they do it anymore, but I do remember when I first moved to New Jersey, Wawa would put out a bunch of, how and again, I don't think they do this anymore either. They would put out a bunch of bagels with cream cheese or a bagel with butter. They would put those out here in Jersey, but they would also put out Kaiser rolls with butter. Big Jersey thing. They call them hard rolls. Buttered hard roll. That's what they like for breakfast. So this is what most of New Jersey chooses to eat their pork roll sandwich on. Yeah, this computer keeps making noise at me telling me my microphone's ready. I hope my microphone's ready. I've been talking into it for 16 minutes. Good Lord. Leave me alone. I'm trying to do a show here. What the hell? So back to the pork roll. Pork roll. I eat pork roll on both bagels and Kaiser rolls. I will tell you the difference. When we have it here at home, we are typically having it for breakfast. Because most people, again, would think pork roll is for breakfast. It's part of a breakfast sandwich, right? It's like a breakfast meat. Not in Jersey. Not in Jersey. In Jersey, it can be eaten all day long, any time of day, in any way that you see fit. So when Joe and I are home and he's making breakfast sandwiches for us, we usually do that when we have company. We have it on a bagel because I love me my bagels. Love me my bagels. But when I go to one of my favoriteest places on Long Beach Island, the Porthole, our local dive bar that we love more than anything, I often get a pork roll and cheese there. No egg, pork roll and cheese, and it's served on a Kaiser roll. So that's very good as well. So if there's egg on it, I want it on a bagel. If there's no egg on it, I want it on a Kaiser roll. So I asked you which you preferred, and Jim says, I'll eat pork roll any way it is served. I normally like it on an everything bagel, but I had some on a black-seeded toasted buttered Kaiser the other day, and it was amazing. Julie says, neither. No carbs and no pork roll. Too fattening. Aw, live a little, Julie. Veronica says, not a fan of pork roll. Sacrilege. Ann says, no carbs, but I would eat the pork roll. Rose says, I love pork roll on both. Kim says, either, but I like the Wawa bagel home roll. I don't know if that was a typo or if there's something going on at Wawa with their bagels that I don't know about. Diane says, not at all. Yuck. Then she says, sorry, everyone. Lisa says, either. Mandy says, I eat pork roll with any roll, bagel, pretzel roll, or anything available. Love pork roll. Teresa says, bagel or English muffin. There you go. It's a nice little sandwich. Michelle says, we don't have pork roll in Texas, but if we did, I'd eat it on a bagel. Everything is better on a bagel. Kathy says, pork roll, egg, and cheese on an onion bagel. Heaven. Joe, my hubby, says, bagel with egg and cheese. Yes, that's the way we make it. Beverly says, on both. Megan says, a toasted bagel. Laurie says, Kaiser roll and cheese, of course. Kathy says, never had pork roll. What's wrong with you, Kathy? She lives right down the street from me. I think I'm going to take her a pork roll, egg, and cheese sandwich on a bagel one of these mornings. I'm just going to show up and be like, try it. Sit down and try it now. Wilbur says, I eat it on both, but I prefer it on a roll. Lauren says, in a tortilla. Lauren is originally from New Jersey, moved to Southern California, so she eats everything Southern Cali style now. Denise says, on a Philly soft pretzel. I understand a pretzel roll, but not a soft pretzel. That's a little odd. Seems a little dry, too. Denise says, I eat Taylor ham, another Jersey thing. They call pork roll Taylor ham. They are wrong. Sorry, Denise. She says, I eat Taylor ham with egg and cheese on a roll or a bagel. And Ashley says a grilled bagel. So there you go. This is how you like your pork roll. Some refer to it as Taylor ham. I found out the real story about the Taylor ham pork roll debate. When pork roll first came out, it was called Taylor ham. That was the name of it. This was back in like the 1800s. Then the FDA came in and said, we have probed your product, and it seems there's no ham in it. So you cannot be calling it Taylor ham anymore. That is when they changed the name to pork roll. And Taylor ham is now basically just a brand. So, you know, the New Jersey diehards, the New York diehards will still call it Taylor ham. And that's okay. I don't even get Taylor ham. I get ShopRite pork roll. Tangy flavor? Good enough. You got to get the thick ones, though. They sell it in a package of 8, which are very thin slices of pork roll, or you can get it in a package of 4, where they're thick slices. Because normally I would go, okay, they're the same price. Do I want to get 8 slices, or do I want to get 4 slices? Well, of course, the cheapo in me would always go with the 8 slices, more for your money, but not in this case. In this case, you want the thick pork roll. Trust me. So I will move on to my blog post. I wanted to mention Heather, who sent me a picture through Instagram the other day that said, be the person that your dog thinks you are. Right. Absolutely. Your dog thinks you are the most wonderful thing in the entire world. And you know what? They're right. So today's blog post is all about the greatest love of all. And you have to check out a picture because I've got a bunch of pictures of my podcast partner, Tucker, because she gives me the greatest love of all. So since I've now encouraged you all week to get rid of all the toxic, fake friends and annoying coworkers in your life, you may be feeling a little lonely. Know what you should do? Get a dog or a cat or some sort of pet that will make you feel like the greatest person in the entire world. There is a reason why people love their animals so much, because they bring us so much joy without a lot of hassle. A little hassle, but not as much as, say, kids. They rarely talk back, are always excited to see you, and don't ask you for money for the mall. Of course, they won't take care of you in your old age either. So, there's some trade-offs. Honestly, though, I don't think my life would be the same at all without the animals I've had in my life, especially my girl Tucker. She literally got me out of the house and talking to more people than I ever have in my life. Now, I was always outgoing, but I used to be kind of shy around people I didn't know. I know, hard to believe, right? I know, it's shocking. But Tucker changed all of that. She changed all of that. And now my husband gets embarrassed every time I strike up a conversation with someone in the supermarket line or sitting next to at the bar. But that's me. I talk a lot. But back to Tucker. I got her on a whim. I did it completely wrong. I don't advise anyone to go the route I did. I had just moved back to Philadelphia after living at the Jersey Shore for the past 4 years, which I loved. So I was a little depressed to have had to move away from my happy place. And it was the first time I had lived on my own without a pet. I had had a cat for 13 years, and he had died the year before, and I had nothing. So you know what I did? I went to the pet store. I know, the horror. It was still acceptable to go to the pet store then. But I had recently had a bad experience with an older pup that I had gotten right after my cat Frisco had died, and he was virtually untradeable, who I did find a lovely home for, and he is still happy and healthy as far as I know. I was looking for someone young this time so I could get the training started ASAP. I looked at the lot they had in the window. I saw this tiny little fur ball. I picked her up and started carrying her around. The woman at the pet store told me that she was so little that they literally had just put her in the window that morning because she was getting beat up by the other puppies. Poor little thing. That's probably why she's such a badass now. So I took her to the little area where, you get to know the pets, and she completely ignored me. I figured, she'll learn to love me. And, it really did kind of take a while, but she came around. So I've had a number of dogs, hamsters, even my cat Frisco. They have all enriched my life in one way or another. We got Nappy, a miniature poodle. There was some dogs before them, but I don't really remember them. So I'm going with Nappy. I was about 6 when we got him. He was like a brother to me. We grew up together. Now, when I was 12, we went to stay with my aunt for the summer, and my mother shipped Nappy off to my father's house to stay because they were divorced then. And he apparently infested both our house and my father's house with fleas, and my mother decided it was time for him to go. So they found him a home not far from another aunt's house where I did get to see him from time to time. I remember one time we were driving past, and they slowed down so I could say hi to him. He came running up to the car, and I was like, "Hey, Nappy, how are you?" And he was so excited to see me. And then he followed us all the way back to my aunt's house. Followed us. It was probably a good half to 3/4 mile. But my mother eventually went to his new owners about a year later and asked if she could have him back. She later told me that she did it because I seemed really depressed. So when he lived with us, we used to tie him up to the back door because he had this issue with going in the house. So I'll never forget the day we got home and we came in the front door. And when we walked in, us kids could hear him barking and crying a year after we had gotten rid of him. And we were all like, "Oh, is that Nappy? Is that Nappy?" And we ran to find our old dog in his old spot back where he belonged. So, see, I do have some happy stories about my mother. That was a very nice story. It was a very nice thing that she did. And Nappy became kind of my pet. He kind of hung with me, slept with me at night. He also gave me away the night that I ran away from home, took him to bed with me, and then packed up a little thing and was going to meet my boyfriend. And then my boyfriend was like, "Yeah, I can't get out of the house." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I just snuck out of the house. I ran to a payphone." Yeah, I had to run to a payphone. And now you're telling me you're not coming? So I had to sneak back in the house, and by the time I snuck back in the house, the dog was not there. My parents weren't there. They were out looking for me. He ratted me out. Apparently, after I left him alone in the room, he started crying and barking. My mom came in to see what the fuss was about and noticed her daughter was not in bed. So, yeah, I got in a little bit of trouble for that one. So when I was 16, though, I started working with my sister at the Friendly's restaurant at the mall. It was more money than I was used to ever having, so I had a bunch saved up. We went to pick Nappy up from a grooming appointment one time, and they had puppies there for sale. Somehow I talked my mom into letting me get a puppy. It was a poodle that I named Puddles, much to my mother's chagrin. So he wasn't nearly as sweet and nice as Nappy, but we all loved him anyway. He was a nasty little thing, honestly. Now, he became closest with my mom, probably because she fed him and took care of him for the most part. And then there was the time we found kittens in our backyard. They were very small. I'm not even sure they should have been away from their mother yet, but my stepfather caught the bunch of them in the yard, and they all scattered except for one little guy who just hunched down. Well, that became Frisco, who was with me for 13 years. I remember he was scared to death that day I brought him into the house. So little, so tiny. And then by the next day, he was a freaking maniac, tearing through the house, running around, jumping up and down. It took him not so long to adjust to his new surroundings. Now, he was one of the fattest cats I ever knew in real life. He just ate and ate and ate. That poor cat, though, moved with me 5 times in his lifetime. 5 times in 13 years. You know how much cats hate change. It would take him a good 2 weeks to come out from under the bed in the current new place. Except to eat, of course. He always managed to get over his fear for a quick bite. But then it was back under the bed. I probably won't come as much of a shock to learn that I lost Frisco fairly young for a cat at 13 due to diabetes. And then, of course, there's my girl Tucker. She has brought so much joy to my life. I love watching her lounge out on the couch and lounging on my husband's chair. She expresses pure joy when she goes on walks. It's so awesome to watch her run in with her ears flying back. She's just so happy. She's always happy to see me when I get home. She loves me no matter how fat I get. That's always a plus. Now, since my husband and I don't have kids, I sometimes wonder if we would have anything to talk about since she does take up so much of our conversation. Things like, how'd you sleep last night, babe? Well, I had a dog in my back all night. Yeah, she